Another returnee from the days of Medarot 2 or 2 Core on the Game Boy Advance, it is the Magician type MAG00 Darkness Mage, with a kit of Canceller, Double Slip, Tank Legs, and the leg ability of Weapon Master, which adds a percentage of a particular leg's resist stat to its base power of certain skills when attacking. Now, unfortunately, because Darkness Mage is a tank-based type, it is going to very seriously hurt his overall viability on the field, as he's not going to be very fast, he has no evade whatsoever, and he has no terrain bonus to even potentially compensate for his base low speed. On top of that, all 3 of his parts are also heavy, which also does hurt his viability, as you have to apply and account for the heavy limit when using any of his parts on the field. However, for the kit that he does offer, they do have some pretty unique skills to bring to the table. Canceller is a simple melee attack that inflicts the opponent with a cancel ailment, which makes them unable to use a certain attack that is targeted. So say, for instance, if Darkness Mage goes up to the line eventually and ends up targeting the opponent's right arm, that means the opponent is now forever negated from using the right arm at all unless Stat Cleanse can be applied to remove the effect. Slip, of course, is a pretty decent shooting skill, essentially, as if you catch the foe in heat phase, or in a defensive stance if it's a shielder type, you can negate their guard or cancel them from doing an action, and they have to then begin their cooldown phase with a no defend and no evade, if I recall correctly, for the duration of that next cooldown. Tank legs, unfortunately, as mentioned, do really hurt overall viability, so I would not see a lot of use with them. However, the leg ability of Weapon Master is a pretty unique one. We have definitely seen it before in a number of bots already, but just to go over it once more, it adds a percentage of the resist stat of the base power when attacking and using certain skills. So in this case, if Darkness Mage were to use his head part, which is a melee skill, the leg's melee resist stat, or a portion of it, would be added to his head's base power when attacking. Inversely, if he chooses to use either of his arms, the portion of his leg's shoot resist will be added to the base power of that part instead. So it's honestly a very solid ability, especially geared specifically towards hybrid types that have more than one type of attack, like shooting and melee on the same build. But unfortunately, again, being tank legs, it does not redeem his overall viability on the field or make it forgivable. As a pure set score, for the reasons stated above, I honestly would rate him a 3 out of 10. He is arguably tanky, so I will give him that, and whenever you do end up having to fight him, he does end up making himself a recurring pest more than someone that you actually need to fear or worry about. Unfortunately, though, because he is tank-based, again, low mobility, no evade, and no terrain bonus means that he's not going to be the fastest on the field, which means it's going to be really, really tricky for him to actually catch someone in their heat phase in order to trip him up with slip for someone else to follow behind. As mixed parts, however, I would rate him just a little bit higher at a 4 out of 10. Again, because all of his parts are heavy, it does add that extra factor to consider when putting a build together. But in the case you do end up having to use tank legs for some odd reason, he's there. It is a pretty solid ability to make use of for sure. But that's about as far as it would go for Darkness Mage. He's just kind of there. He'll make himself a recurring pest more than a threat on the field.